grocery stores on Queen Street, another restaurant at Parliament in Dundas, I think owned by the Meanchoff family. The restaurants on Queen Street, I know there was one called the Constantinople, which was on the south side of Queen, just west of Parliament. I know the coffee houses that the Macedonian men used to frequent. The Macedonian bachelors lived down on Eastern Avenue. It was a restaurant there called Lake Ohrid. The building still stands. It's a 3-story brick building. The restaurant was on the 1st floor. The roomers, 2nd and 3rd floors. And that's where the Macedonian bachelors lived. And on Queen Street, on King Street, near Parliament, was a little restaurant, sort of like a coffee house, where the bachelors would go for coffee.
Parliament Street, I remember the restaurants and all the shows. In particular, there were so many theaters on Parliament Street. You always went you were always walking up Parliament Street to one of the theaters, one or another of the theaters. And I remember, I think John's Grill restaurant, I think some either relatives or friends owned the restaurant. And so, you know, in my young teens, you would go with friends up and have a Coke.
There was a restaurant that after choir practice, we always went to this place called John's on Parliament Street. And I don't know if what it's called now, but that was the restaurant where everybody went to. So after choir, everybody gathered there. Then there was shows there too, theaters.
Sometimes after a Sunday night social, we'd go to John's Grill for a cherry Coke. Can you believe a cherry Coke from the fountain? That was a big outing, big excitement.
Sundays after the dances down at Trinity, a whole gang of us would walk along Parliament Street and go to a restaurant. There's one restaurant there, Johnny's or something like that, I can't remember. And we used to go there and, you know, have Coke or soda pop or something like that. And we used to meet there, and they had a lot of stores. There was one, an Italian store or something. It was a grocery store, and they used to have in the summertime or spring beautiful flowers, you know, for your garden that you can go and buy. And there was the Winchester Hotel.
There was a theater on Parliament Street at just on Parliament, just before Dundas, which I used to go to. And we also had a theater right here on Queen Street, which was below that hall again. I believe it was called the Rialto. And I used to go there. And we also had a theater above Carleton Street on Parliament. It was called the Carleton Theater. That was the best theater, because the others, I'm sorry, there was a lot of mice and rats in those days, okay? And I didn't like going to them. So I used to go all the way up, walk all the way up there and go to that movie theater. I think the fee was like $1. $1 for a movie.
We used to go to the show every Saturday afternoon for 5 cents. The Empire Theatre on Queen Street, the Bluebell on Parliament at Dundas Street, and the Eclipse further up on Parliament Street. We couldn't buy tickets at the Eclipse if we were on our own, so we would ask the other adults if they would buy them for us, and they always did. The Bluebell Theatre had a fish and chip store and next door, and the show always smelled like fish and chips. We were even told mice had been seen there, so we were always on the lookout. 1,000,000 Years BC with Victor Mature was playing at the Empire Theatre. I was there with my mom and dad before the days of babysitters, but I wanted to sleep in my own bed and with my own pillow and my own blanket. Later, when we lived in Montreal, I became good friends with the girl who was the baby in that film.
We used to go to a movie house on Parliament Street, but it was south of Dundas. And my mother used to be able, you go to the movies and you pay or get a ticket, something, and you get a dish. So she got a whole set of dishes. We kept it for the longest time, and now we only have one dish left. And there was a very nice place next to the movie house, a fish and chip store. Oh, they had the best fish and chips I can imagine, and wrapped up in newspapers.
When I used to go to the movies, I used to like, actually there was, I liked the period pieces with Robert Taylor, who used to be Swashbuckles, Earl Flynn. I guess all the young kids in those days, like Robin Hood and sword fighting. We used to sword fight. Other things we used to do, when we were on Seton Street, I guess we were pretty tough. We used to have BB guns, and we put leather jackets on. And now, as you mentioned, what I used to do is, the guys from Ontario Street, yes, there was rivalry between the two factions, one on Seton Street and the other. And we used to run around, and with the BB guns, we would actually shoot each other. But the idea was the rules were to be not above the head, because we didn't want to hit anybody in the face. But if we had an opportunity and the gentleman was facing the other direction, we would aim for the lower extremities.
Going to the movies was a big thing. And I was speaking to a friend of mine today who lived in the Cabbagetown area till she was 15, and she gave me the names of all the movie theaters that were around. I could remember the Rialto, which was on Queen Street, I think near Parliament. And it was great fun to go there because for 10 cents my mother would get these wonderful dishes. This lovely china dish, which I think today you'd probably have to pay $50 a plate for. So we have a whole collection of these that cost 10 cents at the time, but 10 cents was big money. There was a drugstore on the corner of Shumack and Dundas, and I remember going there for an ice cream cone, which I think was 5 cents or something like that. On Shumack Street, just south of Dundas, there was, I think, Jimmy's Meat Market. And of course, everyone would go and do their grocery shopping there. And it was a very nice time of life, as I say, a simple time of life.